Okay, hello and welcome. It is Wednesday evening. I guess I can try to turn this around and show me. And I am at school, and I just finished. I work late on Wednesdays, as I think most of you all know. I have a class during what we call fifth period, and it lasts until 6:10 p.m. So it's pretty quiet. I can close the door in my office, and I just wanted to show you the idea that I came up with for my December group project. Something you can do if you have some higher level, maybe high school students, and you can do an extended period project, meaning it takes more than one class period to complete. This one I'll probably take 4 or 5 of my class periods in my university English class to complete. And I'm doing this mostly with my sophomores. So they're 19 years old, most of them, 20 years old. And they've already had English here at the university for a year. And this is a group project. So obviously they do normal homework, they do assignments, they do book reports, we have tests. But I like to give them a chance to work with their classmates and to use English amongst other Japanese people and to hone their presentation skills. So this is all working up to a presentation they'll have to give in the last week before our winter vacation starts on December 22nd, I think is our last day of school. But anyway, so I'm going to turn this around and show you the slides on my MacBook, and hopefully this won't be so bad. Alright, so I'm using my iPad to record this, and let me just do this. So I can do this with one hand and do the slides with the other. So this was the warm-up I did. This was in Monday's class. I did this warm-up. And this is just going to be one of those vlogs where you're going to get some good ideas for teaching. So they're older students. They're obviously allowed to have their cell phone in class. So I call this cell phone slideshow. Oh, I'm going to have to get this into the play mode here. All right, I use Keynote. I'm sure a lot of you can use PowerPoint if you don't have a Mac. And I'm sure there's some easy way to put this on a vlog. If one of you is a tech head and you want to tell me how to do that in a comment, that'd be appreciated. But I'll just show you from my screen to the camera. Let's see, I can't really get that to stop shaking, sorry. That's not too bad. Okay, so there's a picture of me. I show them a picture of me when I went to Disneyland a few summers ago. And I tell them, okay, you need to find a picture in your Keitai, in your cell phone, of when you visited a place other than your hometown or where we go to school. So this is from when I visited Okinawa, this is from when I visited Hokkaido, this is when I visited Korea, America, Australia, okay? And their partner will say, oh, what did you do there? And I want them to use past tense verbs. I ate pineapple, I went shopping, I did sightseeing. And then they're supposed to say, oh yeah? Oh really? Something like that, and then ask their own follow-up question, the bihito, the partner. Oh, okay, so you went to Disneyland. Oh, what's your favorite ride? They have to think of their own idea based on the picture. So there's a bunch of students that went to Monterey in our exchange program for 1 month. And again, I let them have some time, and they find a picture in their Keitai, and it lets them use their cell phone and kind of share personal details with their partners. It's a good warm-up. Okay, this was then into the group project. What company do you want to research? Each group should have 4 members, and they have to pick a company they want to research and present to class. Now last year I did countries, and they researched a country, and that went pretty well. There's obviously lots of aspects about a foreign country they can present. So I didn't want to repeat because I do have some students that had me as a freshman and now have me as a sophomore, but the idea is basically the same. So they decide. I have to ask them which company, and they also have to decide who is the number 1 person in their group, the number 2 person, because they'll have specific tasks to do within the group. So we have them do that. Then I say, okay, here are some companies, and I give them some sample ideas. Okay, I wanted them to pick big worldwide companies. Some of my kids wanted to do very Japan-based companies, like the local place that does gyudon, skiya, or something like that. And I said, well, I need they have to be a worldwide company, so they can't just be in Japan. But another, you'd be amazed, as big of Apple fanboy as I am, Apple's not on that list. I just spaced and didn't put it on there. One group picked Apple, one group picked Toyota. So anything was fine if they had a different idea. Okay? So they picked a company. Then here's what each member of the group had to pick. Okay? So I wanted the first member, they have to do research about the history of the company, where it started, when it started, who started it. The second member has to tell me what products do they sell. They have to pick at least 3, tell me a little bit of information, what's the cost, what is it, and what's the most popular product that company sells. Okay, who's the CEO and the number 3 person? You have to explain that. You know, the president of the company, where's their home office? How many employees do they have worldwide? How many stores do they have worldwide? Now this obviously, if they pick Nintendo, Nintendo doesn't really have stores. So, you know, you have to have some leeway for the different types of companies. You know, 7-Eleven is a huge convenience chain here, convenience store chain here. They obviously have tons of products. So I said, okay, to that group, I said, well, pick a category. Well, do they sell more beer, more cigarettes, more, you know, fast food, more ready-to-eat meals? You know, do a category instead of one single thing. And then member 4 had to tell me about worldwide earnings and Japan earnings, so their revenue, not necessarily their profit. Where do they make the most profit? I want them to figure out what country they're the most popular in. And then they have to kind of do like a chart and show me their earnings compared to 2 other companies in that class. So if that class picked McDonald's and Nintendo and Sony, then they have to compare Sony against 2 other companies that other people picked. Okay? And then basically, at the end of that 45-minute class, I gave them some homework, do research. They have to know all the information on the day in case their partner is absent or something happens. And I wanted one of their people to bring a laptop to to class. Okay? And then that was some old homework they had to finish. And then today's class, oops, there's all the people. There's the companies they chose. We've got to wait for these all to fill in here. So you can see I had a few that had only 3 because that class is a little smaller. Okay? And if you have a student that's absent, you just kind of have to roll with it. And then this was B. That was the class that chose Apple, Starbucks, Nintendo, McDonald's. And in this class, I had a few that had 5 people. So they'll just have to share and have 3 groups. Sorry for that shaking. Alright, let's see if there's any way I can get this not to shake. Well, that's pretty good if I do 2 hands. This was another warm-up game. I'm going to skip over it, though. But basically, I'll just tell you really fast. My name is Jason, and I like something that starts with A. Apples. Oh, his name is Jason, and he likes apples. My name is Yusuke, and I like baseball. Oh, his name is Yusuke, and he likes baseball. My name is Yuki, and I like cars. Okay? And they just go around the table. This way they know their partner's names. Okay? Because sometimes they don't always interact a lot at the college level, so I wanted to make sure they all knew each other's names. And again, I flashed this up on board. So what happened, their homework was they had to do the research. And now they have to come back on the next class period and share that research with their other group members. And I gave them a special piece of paper that had all the information on it so they could kind of fill it in with memo. And on that piece of paper I said, okay, when you're listening to your other people in your group present their information, it's okay to jot notes in Japanese. This is not for me, this is not for your presentation, this is just so you understand all the information. So that is okay for Nihongo. Then I just said, okay, then the next person will go, and the next person, and the next person. And again, I put the grid back up on the screens so they could reference it if they needed to. You know, we have to just wait here for a second for it to fill in. Okay. So it's good to have a lot of constant visual reinforcement. It helps them. All right. Now, the important part about this is this step. This presentation is this step. All 4 members write out English sentences on 2 note cards. So I gave them 2, standard index cards. And so, they're blank on each side, so they have 4 sides. If they're number 1 person, they did research about, the history of the company. So they're going to write that on one side. Then on another side, they're going to write out the number 2 information. What are the products they sell? What's the most popular? And so on. So they have all the information on 2 note cards in their own possession. So if something happens to their partner, and they don't show up on the day, they can still do the whole presentation by themselves. Now that would be not the most ideal, but it does happen. And in this case, I want them to write out English. I want them to write the sentences in English. This company had revenue of, $3.8 billion in 2011, and I want them to write that out in English. And that's the cards I look at to kind of check their English. And I don't look at any other notes or anything. I just look at those note cards. That's one thing I check to give them points. Another thing I check is their poster, and then of course I walk around when they're giving their presentations. They also get points from their audience members. Other classmates give them points when they're giving their presentation, and I factor those points in. Okay, and so their homework this time is to bring markers, scissors, everything you need to make a big group poster. So what I'll do is, say like this Tron poster up here, that's about the size, I'll go to my local store and buy some empty white poster paper, and I'll bring it to class, and they can decorate it, put graphs on it, put the logo on it. I tell them no black and white. Everything has to be color. If it's going to be printed out from a computer, you have to use a color printer. If you're going, or you can draw it, and use markers or something. If you're going to make a graph, I want it to be color. I don't want anything black and white. It's got to pop. The poster's got to be good. We go over that. So basically, that's the first two classes, the slides you just watched. Two more classes will be them preparing their presentation with their partner, deciding, okay, now out of this, grid back here, okay, say I was number 1 person, and now I have a partner. Maybe they were number 4 person, okay? So I'll do number 1 and number 2 information, and I'll speak for about 2 minutes on that information in English. Number 4 person will assume number 3 information, and then their own information number 4. So this is where it gets a bit tricky, and you kind of have to, guide the kids well. So you have 4 realms of information. You're responsible for presenting 2 of those chunks on presentation day with your partner who will present the other 2, because your 4-member group will get split into 2 pairs, and the other pair will be off watching other groups as an audience member. And what I basically have them do is I have them split up into those 2 pairs, and I have them give their presentation 3 times. So they have to do the exact same presentation, that 4 or 5 minutes of talking to 3 different audience groups. And so I have kind of an outer circle in the classroom where the 5 posters will be up on the wall and people will be giving their presentation, and then the kids sitting in chairs in the sort of the middle watching a different group each time, and they'll watch 3 different groups and give them some feedback and points on a score sheet I hand out on presentation day. So it's a lot of cacophony, it's a lot of noise in the classroom, but it really works well, and the kids are a little less intimidated because they're not giving the presentation in front of the whole class, and they get to do it 3 times, so they kind of like get confidence, and then they get in a groove, And so I walk around and am able in that 3 times to basically watch each group and know who kind of did the work and who kind of like just showed up on the day and is winging it. And then they'll sit down, and their 2 partners will stand up and be part of the group, and at that point start their 3 presentations. So on the final day, it's like 6 5-minute presentations, which you go 6 times 5 is 30. That's only 30 minutes, and I've got a 45-minute class. But you'd be surprised. With transitions and everything, it basically takes the whole day, that whole 45-minute class that I have. So it works out well. And so the next 2 classes, they'll make the poster, they'll finish writing all the English on their note cards, and I'll give them 2 classes to do that, and then they'll start practicing. They'll put the poster up on the wall and start, gesturing to the poster, etc. So it really is a good, lengthy project. It takes 5 classes, 5 45-minute classes total at my level to do this project and accumulate on a presentation day. And then the very last day of class, that last week, I kind of have just a Christmas party, even though it's college. We still do some fun stuff. We watch Snoopy Christmas which is Charlie Brown Christmas, and then we do some sheets and have some fun. So that's kind of my December. It's kind of taken over. I get away from my textbook for a while and away from regular stuff, and I really, go off in this other way. But the kids enjoy it. It's a good break for me, and it really does let them use a lot of different skill sets to do an effective presentation. And they get to see, oh, what did other people do with this kind of parameter? Oh, they had to present the same kind of information. And, the important thing really isn't the English that they're saying so much, because, it's often going to be awkward English, but, that they tried, and that they went out and did the research, and they made a good poster, and they worked as a group. So I like this lesson. Tell me what you think. Sorry, I know it's a long video, and there's a weird edit in there because I hit the button on my iPad midway through, and I turned off the camera. So I can't just send it from my iPad. That's so disappointing. Okay, but that's it. Peace. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.